my name is Kat, and today I have a bunch of books to haul. So this video today is sponsored in part by Simon & Schuster to celebrate the release of Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. This book is actually not out yet. It comes out on Tuesday, March 27th. This is a young adult contemporary debut novel about a girl named Penny and a boy named Sam who meet in what the synopsis calls a collision of unbearable awkwardness. Still, despite the awkwardness, they end up exchanging numbers and they start to form this deeper relationship through texting because it's easier to be open with a relative stranger via text than, the awkwardness of talking to someone IRL. Everything I know about this book intrigues me. I love reading debut novels and I'm on a contemporary kick right now. I'm just really loving contemporary romance. I love that it's older YA. I believe they're both 18. I know Penny is in her first year of college studying writing. And to top it all off, it's blurbed by Rainbow Rowell. So I am very much looking forward to reading this one. The next book that I have here is Nice Try Jane Sinner by Leanne Oelk. I bought this book kind of on a whim at the airport, and I ended up spending most of my flight reading this and giggling to myself, and I finished this book that same day, and it's become one of my favorite contemporaries of all time. And I did already review this book, so I'll link that video down below if you want to know a bit more info. Basically, it's a YA contemporary debut about this snarky, cynical girl who kind of drops out of high school halfway through her senior year because something happened and she just can't bring herself to go back and finish out the year. So she's completing her high school degree at the local community college and she ends up getting involved in this student-run reality TV show, and it's just a wonderful book. It's so funny. Jane's voice is amazing. How much I love this book is a big reason why I'm so excited for Emergency Contact, because I want more hilarious YA books set in college. This was fantastic, and I just, if you guys have any more recommendations aside from this and Emergency Contact, hit me with them. The next book that I have here is Down and Across by Arvin Amati. This is another young adult contemporary debut novel because I am in a mood. I actually met Arvin a year ago at Adam Silvera's book launch, and he is really awesome. So he had his publisher send me a copy of his book that he signed. Can you see it? The main character of this book is a boy named Scott who has commitment issues. He has trouble finishing things and following through. So yeah, this sounds like a really fun road trip contemporary with some themes of figuring out who you are and what you want to do in your life that I really personally relate to. The next book that I have here is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. This is another young adult debut novel that is contemporary-ish. It sounds like it's kind of on that border where it's mostly contemporary, but there's a little bit of magic sprinkled in. It's about a teenage girl named Lee who is absolutely certain that when her mother died by suicide, she turned into a bird. She's struggling with grief and guilt, and she ends up going to Taiwan to meet her maternal grandparents for the first time. She's determined to find this bird that is her mother, and she ends up also uncovering some family secrets and developing this new relationship with her grandparents. So yeah, this doesn't quite fit in with my current reading mood of light-hearted, fun YA, but the reason I bought this book was because I've been hearing so many amazing things about it, and particularly about the writing. I've heard this is just a beautiful story. I'm not one to pass up a beautifully written book ever. So I went ahead and bought this, and I'm excited to read it. The next book that I have here is The Hating Game by Sally Thorn. This is another debut novel. It's contemporary romance, but it's not YA, it's adult. I bought this book primarily because of Natasha, who read this last year and loved it. It was her #1 favorite of 2017. It's an enemies to lovers romance that's set in the publishing world. Basically, these two publishing houses are merging publishing and the assistants of the two CEOs are our two main characters. And there's just a lot of conflict as these two separate publishing houses come together and all the people are clashing, and particularly our two main characters who clash, but then they fall in love, I assume. I mean, that's like why I'm here. So yeah, this just sounds like something I'm going to adore. Like, I love the hate to love relationship trope. I live for that. So I'm very, very excited to read this. Next up, for a total change of pace, I have here Vincent and Theo by Deborah Heligman. This is a nonfiction book about the Van Gogh brothers, Vincent and Theo. I ended up buying this book because it is a Prince honoree for 2018, and I decided that I wanted to read all of the 2018 Prince books, and this was the only one that I didn't already own. So even though it's not my typical read at all, and I never would have picked it up if I hadn't decided to read all the Prince books, I'm actually really enjoying this. It's super fascinating. I'm like 200 pages in, and I'm hoping to finish it soon. But yeah, I talked about this a little more in my last TBR video, so I'll link that below if you want to hear me say more words about this book. Next up is a book that I have already read, but I've also been waiting for this forever. And that is the matching hardcover edition of Shatter Me by Tom Mafi. I didn't buy this book right away because I was kind of hoping that the publisher would send me a copy, but they didn't, so I did end up buying it because I need the matching book. I need them to match. I mean, I don't always need a series to match, but when it's a series that I love and matching options are available, yeah, I gotta do it. I also bought Restore Me, but that shipment got lost in the mail and I'm still waiting for the replacement. So that'll be in my next haul, I'm sure. Then I have here Obsidian by Amie Kaufman and J. Kristoff. This is the third and final book in the Illuminae Files trilogy. I read and loved the first two books, and I've heard that this is just a fantastic and epic conclusion to the trilogy, so I am hyped to get to it. The next book that I have here is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, and I actually got this book from my friend Monica, who read it and didn't love it enough to want to hold on to it, so she gave me her copy. It's kind of funny because, you know, normally a friend not loving a book doesn't really encourage me to pick it up, but this book in particular seems to be a little polarizing. Like, I have friends who did not like this book, but I also have friends who really enjoyed this book, and that is what intrigues me and makes me want to read this to see where I will fall on the liking it or not liking it scale. At the very least, people do seem to agree that it's well written, and it's more of a plot point that divides people. Like, something happens in this book that you either love or you hate, and that intrigues me. I want to read this and see if I love it or hate it. And finally, the last batch of books here, I myself did not buy. I kind of got them indirectly from the publisher because my friend Michael works for Harper, and when I visited him, he just let me raid his bookshelf and take what I wanted, so that's what I did. So I have here 3 Dark Crowns and 1 Dark Throne by Kundera Blake. I had been meaning to read these books for so long, and now I've read both of them, and I'm so glad I did. It's this dark and complex high fantasy series, and I'm loving it. Like, it's one of my new favorite ongoing series. So yeah, I did already review these books last month, so I'll link that video down below if you want to hear me talk about it more. Then I have here Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. This is one of my most anticipated books of 2018 because Ashley Poston's previous book, Geekerella, was one of my favorite books of 2017. So obviously I want to read the next thing she writes. And while I did love Geekerella, Cinderella retellings aren't really my thing. But Anastasia retellings in space, That's my thing. I'm here for this. I am so excited to read this. Then I have here Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I actually don't know many details about this other than the fact that it's the first book in a murder mystery trilogy. What really sells me on this is the author, Maureen Johnson, because I've read and loved some of her previous books like Sweet Scarlet, and also she's fantastic on Twitter. She's hilarious and really clever, and I'm interested in reading more by her. And the final book I have to show you guys today is Everless by Sarah Holland. This is another debut novel. It's the first in a fantasy series, and it takes place in this world where time is like a commodity that can be extracted from the blood in humans. I'm really intrigued by this premise. Like, I really like the idea of time being able to be spent like currency. It kind of reminds me of this book I read when I was a wee child called Momo, I think. Momo and the Gray Men. Something about Momo, and there were these gray men and they stole time from people. It was wild. I don't know. Do any of you guys remember this Momo book, or was it just like before your time? Because it was kind of before my time and I'm old. Anyways, I'm definitely interested in reading this book. I have seen some mixed reviews on it, so I don't quite know what to expect, but the premise is so intriguing, I at least want to give it a try, you know? Alright, there you have it. Those are all the books I had to haul for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I will have another video up soon, so I will see you then. Bye!